Hello, this is Jan from Red Toad Art Studio, and today we are going to learn how to draw a cute, whimsical little goldfish. And if you like, you can go to our site and download a free instruction sheet that takes you step by step through the process. That way, after you've drawn it, if you forget how, you can just go to your files and find that sheet. Okay, you will also need a piece of paper. We don't care what kind, unless you plan on painting it. If you're planning on painting it, then you might want to use some watercolor paper. Otherwise, just use some copy paper or some sketching paper. Pencils. You will need a pencil, and again, any kind will actually work, especially for the sketching part. And I like HB pencils for sketching. It has the HB right here at the end of the pencils. Even your yellow pencils will have a number down here that you can look at. Now, if you plan on doing the second part of this video, where we go ahead and finish it as a pencil drawing, you will also want a 3B pencil, and you will want a blending stick, or stump as you call them. And that should be all you need. Oh, don't forget an eraser. We all have to have those erasers. So, let's get started. Here's our instruction sheet. And the first step it gives us is to draw a circle. And then we'll draw an eye. Add some big fat lips on that fish. And we'll add the fins, step by step. And if you decide you want to do it as a finished pencil drawing, this is a picture of the way it will turn out. So let's get at it. Circle. Now when you draw your circle on your piece of paper, you want to be sure and leave room for the tail back here. But this is a little short fish, so you don't have to worry too much. If you put your circle, here about a third of the way over, you should just be fine. This is a good one to practice your freehand drawing of circles, which can be easier said than done. But if you go slow and watch what you're doing, you should be able to do a pretty good circle freehand. It doesn't need to be perfect. So, this is the body of our fish. Now we want to add a circle about up in here, right up in this area, for a nice big eye so he can see the world just great. There we go. Now, put a circle inside for the pupil of his eye. Look at that. Now, most eyes of living things will have this little, like, white glint in them. It's the spark of life. We want to add one here on our fishies. I think maybe you can see it a little better now. It's like slicing a pie. Have you ever seen someone slice a pie into 6 pieces and then there's these little wedges? Well, we're just going to draw one of the little wedges right here on his eye. Do you see that wedge right there? That will be the spark in our fishie's eye. And we'll color all around this. Okay, now let's work on the lips. I think the lips are the hardest part of this fish. Isn't that funny? Because we do kind of funny lips here. And I'll show you lightly on another piece of paper before I draw it on here. We all can draw hearts, right? Let me get over here. All of us don't mind drawing hearts. And we usually draw a heart, something like that. Well, that's all the lips on our fishies are, is a heart turned to the side. And then we finish off this middle line to go into his little smile. And that is our fishie's lips. Only we're going to draw it to the side. So look here. I'm going to start here, and I want his lips right in here. Do my heart shape. And up like that. Now, he's really got big lips, doesn't he? Now, you can make these lips any size you want. But on these little fish, it's kind of cute to have great big lips. The next thing we do is we give him a gill. We got to have a gill for a fish to breathe through. We want our fish to be alive, right? So here's our gill. Alrighty. Now let's add some tail here. Go over to this side of your fish. Do some lines on the bottom and top. Just like that. And the goldfish usually have nice, wavy, beautiful tails. So we're going to do some things like this, because they look so beautiful when they're in the water with these tails that they have. There we go. We have a tail on our fishy now. Now we want to do a dorsal fin. And a dorsal fin is the one that's on the top, on their back. Now on a real fishy, it probably won't be right on top of the eye. It'll be farther back. But we're doing a whimsical fish that is a little round guy, and he is so cute. So there's our dorsal fin. Now let's see, the next one we're to draw is one right through here. This little fin, I think, probably acts like a rudder and helps him steer through the water. There we go. Got that little one. And now we want to do the one up here that he uses. If you watch a little goldfish, they use these like arms. So draw a little circle again. Do a little circle. And come out here. It's a little bigger than this fin. And then we go like this. Now these fins are different in different kinds of fish. If you go draw a catfish or a salmon or another breed of fish, things will be arranged just a little different. They'll all have tails and dorsal fins, and they'll actually have small lips maybe and eyes, but they'll be in different places and have different sizes. Our little fish today is just supposed to be a cute goldfish. And now we want to put some scales right back here. Just some little scallops to show scales. You know, you've almost got this little guy drawn already. Now let us put some lines in our tail to kind of show texture. There we go. And let's put some in our dorsal fin. Let me get here. These are so easy to draw. Some in this little fin down here. And now before we put lines in this one, let's erase this extra pencil mark right here. And now we can put some lines in. And then we need to erase these little lines crossing our lips. There we go. And look, we have a fishy already. Wasn't that easy? That took all of about, what, 2 minutes, if that, to draw this little fishy? Now, if this is how you want to leave your picture, go over your lines and get them smoothed out. Get any of those extra lines erased nicely. And get him all neatened up. Now, at this point, you can do several things. You could finish him with colored pencils and make him whatever color you want. You could finish him with watercolors. You could use crayons. You could use acrylics, whatever you want. Now, do remember, if you use paint and even markers, at least use mixed media paper, or if you have it, some watercolor paper. The other thing you can do is go ahead and finish this little guy as a pencil drawing. And that's what we're going to do in step 2. So, wasn't this a fun little fishy to draw? And it takes no time at all to draw this little fishy. Okay, step 2. We want to finish this fishy as a pencil drawing in step 2. I have gone over my lines, made them a little more dark so we can see all of our lines. Now, this is where you want to take a soft leaded pencil. You can use your other pencil, but it won't work quite as easily. I like to use a 3B or a 4B pencil. And again, these letters and numbers will be right on the end of your pencil. These are regular drawing pencils, but you can buy most of these at Walmart or your, maybe even your drugstore. I don't know about yours, or an office store, or you can order them online like from Amazon. And if you can, and if you can afford to, it'd be great to get you a set of drawing pencils. Usually sets come with 5 or 6 or even more with different letters on them. Think of HB. Think of the H meaning hard. It's a hard lead, and it's good for making good skinny lines. The B, think of that as bold. It's dark. It's good for shading, and it makes good, nice dark lines. Now this one says HB because it's right in the middle of all the pencils they have. It's hard and soft. It can go either way. It's like a 0 on a line, and you can either go soft or you can either go dark. Then for shading, I like to use that 3B, which means it went a lot darker than the HB. So, let's take our 3B or whatever you have, and we're going to shade. I think we'll start with the lips. Good spot to start. You're going to just kind of, not lightly, but you don't want to press hard either because these are soft leads. We are going to make a dark area or line, a big fat line around the outer edge of each lip. See, like this? Now, you're going to have some patience if you're doing this step. But, you know, as I've said in other videos, good art takes patience. And if we love doing our art, we shouldn't mind taking that time that we need to do it. Now, I'm going to emphasize this line where their lips divide here, kind of like that, so I can see it better. Now, I want to come in here. We want to kind of make a circle left white. Come in here and fill this all in like this. Now, this white spot is going to be a highlight. So we have the lip. Get my outer lines nice and strong here. Now is where you bring in your blending stick. So come in and start blending on the dark parts and then lightly pull out into that white area. And you'll get beautiful shaded marks. See how that's shading in? See if I can keep my hand a little bit out of the way so you can see what it's doing. Just come in with circular motions, smooth out the dark, bold area, and then kind of bring in to the lighter area, lightly, feather touch, and bring in lighter gray. Now, can you see how that gave us a highlight on our fish's lips, just like there's a bright light shining on him? Just like, and you can make that a little darker if you don't like it to be that white. There we go. So let's do the same thing with this bottom lip right here. Now, if you get the 6Bs, the 4Bs on up, they will have a blacker color to them, a darker color. So if you like real intense dark colors, you'll want to get some of those. Or you could even try charcoal pencils if you have them. I like the look of charcoal, but it sure is kind of messy. I tend to smudge it all over, so I don't usually go into much of the charcoal, but we might have to try that sometime on our site. Now see, I'm leaving my circle there for my highlight. Now I'm taking my blending stick at the right side here, and I'm going to blend the dark parts. Come around here. Now bring lightly that gray into my middle highlight area. And there we go. We've got his lips all colored in. Now be sure you have this line darkened enough that you can see where the lips kind of separate. Okay. Let's go to the tail. That's one of the biggest spots we need to blend. Starting here where the tail attaches, this takes a little while to put this in. But again, remember, patience, we aren't in a hurry. And while you're doing that, you don't want to cover up these darker lines, so make them nice and dark with your pencil before you do too much to that. I'm talking and not thinking well, you know. I don't do good with talking and drawing at the same time, which is pretty bad for what I'm doing, isn't it? There, we get our lines nice and dark so they show up. There we go. Now, I'm going to fill that area in. Now, don't worry about being exact with that. And fill it in using small circles. I find I go big once in a while, but the best way to get good fill is with smaller circles. I mean, actually, it may look like I'm doing back and forth, but I'm doing small circles or ovals. And one thing, even with these pencils, you don't have to have them super sharp even, because you want that lead to be nice and soft. There we go. Now, before we do our blending, we're going to tip the tail, these little sharp edges, with a little bit of the dark. You don't need to put too much there. This is going to be our highlight area that's left light between, where light is hitting our little fishy. Now, let's get our blending stick. Start blending at the base of his tail here. Smooth it out nice and smooth. And I like to go in a circular motion for this too. Now, start pulling these out into that white area. Don't cover all the white. Just kind of start blending it out till it goes into a light gray. It's like you have a gray coloring crayon almost in your hands that you're using. And get some jagged edges on this. I'm almost out of camera, aren't I? Now I'm going to come in here and pull these little tips of the tail back towards that white area. And then I'm going to blend a little bit. I'm going to darken it just a smidge here in the white areas, so everything's kind of blended together a little bit. There we go. Now let's come back in with our pencil and strengthen these lines of his tail a little bit more, so that they show nice along the edges and on the inside. There we go. We've got his tail. And you work with this as long as you want until you get it looking the way you want it to look. The more you blend on this, the smoother it will get. Now we're going to do the fins in exactly the same way. Come to the base of the dorsal fin. Smoothly put in a line there. Darken these lines that you put in earlier. Put just a tiny bit in the tips of the fin. And then come in with your blending stick and blend that in. Now we're going to come in and strengthen any lines that kind of got lost in all that. And there we are. So we're going to do these two first. This one we do something a little spatial with. If you look at a goldfish, at least my goldfish, this kind of forms a circle here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go round and around that circle with my dark. I want to have a highlight in the middle of that circle where that attaches. And then to come in here lightly with my blending stick and just blend that out like that. Can you see that real well? Then come down here, darken these lines. And like we did the others. Now, you may want to put a piece of paper over this area while you're doing this to keep you from smudging all over your piece of paper and getting graphite all over your hand. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put some darker color right here. We're going to fill in the tips and then get our blending stick. These come in different sizes, so you may want to have little ones on hand to get into these little spots. But I think we can manage this today. There. And we have one more fin to go, which is this little rudder fin there. Same way, darken these lines. Color in the base, right next to the body. Fill in the tips. And blend it in. Isn't that easy? I think these blending sticks just work magic on your pencil art. Now we have the body here to do. Let's go in and make the middle, the pupil part of his eye, as dark as we can. The darkest thing on here. There we go. Now he looks better, doesn't he? Strengthen up these circles of his eye. Ah, I like that. His gill. I want to make my fishy's gill a nice dark color. Now you can do what you would like to do on that. You might like to keep it white. Strengthen up the lines, and I'm going to go dark on the gill too. Just like that. Now if you had a tiny blending stick, you might want to go in there and blend this a little. I think even my big one will do that, so that's great. We're almost done. Want to see the whole fish for a second? Yeah, there we go. Now let's strengthen our scales here so they show up. We're going to just lightly put some gray color on the body. Pencil drawing is like a study in contrast. You only have gray, so you just have to make different colors of gray almost. So we're going to go around the edges like we did on the bases of the fins, but just around the edges of that head there. Let me get here. Like this. Pretty light. We don't want it to be as dark as the rest of the fish. It probably looks as dark on there. Maybe I need to lighten up a little, probably. Where we have lines, we want to darken them so we're sure they show. Just kind of like that. Because we just want to make this body a little light gray. So you're almost doing a feather touch here. See, I've circled the whole body. I'm going to put just a little bit here in front of the gill, so we have something to pick up with our blending stick. Now, let's go for our blending stick, and we're just going to blend out and pull that in until the whole body is just a light gray. How that brings that in. And since fish aren't flat, the middle of the fish here, the highlight area, will be lighter, where the light would be hitting it, and then the light will get darker as it goes away, and it will form shade back there. So just work until you can blend that in to be gray. Light gray all over your little fishy, coming up and meeting the eye. And we can pull some gray from here on the gill now. Just come back here. Let's keep the scales kind of light. There we go. So there we are. What do you think about that? And there's our fishy, all done as a pencil drawing. Actually, if I were to do this again, I think I would make these lips a little smaller, because I think it's going to tip him right down on his nose if he was a real fish, but it kind of makes him look fun, doesn't it? If you don't like this all white in the eye, you could draw some little lines around it like an iris if you want to decorate his eye up a little bit. I think I like that better. And be sure you have all your lines nice and strong. This line you may not want to worry about because he goes right into his tail. If you want to add bubbles, you could draw a bunch of circles. If you draw a circle for a bubble, make a highlight right in here if you're going to do that. See, right there's a little highlight. I'll try to make it darker. There you go. And you could draw a bunch of circles going up. Or put some seaweed down here. Get some blue chalk and make a background. You can do all kinds of things with your fishy. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you draw a lot of little fishies. So I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and we will see you on our next video.